colors, 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 colors. What's happening, man? Back in the saddle. Back in the saddle. And the topic for today, I want to grab this, touch on it. It's simmering down right now, which is cool, but I want to catch it, add my 2 cents to it right before it fizzles on out. And hopefully this type of shit won't pop back up, because it's pointless and futile. But it makes for good conversation. And that which I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is Black Lives Matter versus White Lives Matter. Yeah. Now, this topic in particular has been, well, I ain't gonna put all that on it. We'll just say, I'll just put it like this: it's been rekindled by your guy, the quote-unquote gouty leader of the free world, as he would like to proclaim himself, not in those words, but whatever the fuck gouty means. But he said it. But this guy comes out and starts selling White Lives Matter shirt, which implies the question, does white lives matter? And we'll get into that. But first, we'll get all into that. But before we get into the thick of it, I want to do a little profile on this Kanye West guy. Big fan of his music. Riding with you. Roll with you and roll with you. And then you start looking at a nigga and be like, hey man, you start looking like Trey off Boys in the Hood. Hey, yay, let me out. Hey man, look. Now, he makes dope music, to say the least. But it comes to a point where you like, where the fuck are you going with all this? All this carrying on? Or is this just an endless trail of bullshit? Now I can say that because I'm not a Kanye West hater. I'm the guy that been rooting for you. So, you know, this is not coming from a place of, I don't like him. So, listen up. I'll tell you how the whole thing starts. Now, like I said, he always had good music. In 2013, he does the Zane Lowe interview. And I saw that video, I said, you know what? By golly, I think he's got it. Even though there was still reasons for me to think the opposite. But I'm always for progress. I like to root on progress. This is progress in happening. Or an occurrence. So, he does the Zane Lowe interview. And I'm with him. I'm like, that's what the fuck I'm talking about. You know, when this isn't the first stunt, well, that wasn't a stunt. You know, he did the Taylor Swift thing, which was crazy. And the George Bush don't like black people thing or whatever. So he always had a little rebellious edge to him. So he does the Zane Lowe interview, and I said, okay. I can dig this. I'm feeling you. I see where you're going. You dropped the album, Jesus, and you proclaim to be God. And I was right there with you. I said, tell him. Tell him. Now, you said that. And you married Kim. It's kind of crazy. We'll get into that later. But I was right there with you, rooting for you. After that, little time passed. You spazzed out. And this is where I seen the flaw in your game at. Because see, once you proclaim yourself to be a God, and you start screaming this Jesus shit, so you put yourself in a different bracket with me. Now I was with you. But see, when you start saying these type of things, now I hold you to a different standard. You know, because it's good that I'm saying this because this separates the chumps from the monks, so to speak. Because this thing, just God and just I'm a God, and all this shit is starting to become trendy and shit. But never fear, the ill, real, trill deal is here. So you spaz out, and if I'm not mistaken, my memory serves me correct, you let the Kardashians or Kris Jenner or whoever convince you that it was a bright idea to go and get wrapped up and put on mental health paperwork. Now that's key right there. Or however it happened. That's how I remember it. Maybe I'm wrong, but at the end of the day, you went and basically became somewhat of a mental health poster boy or whatever, and whatnot. Now I'm not saying, well, let me stick to the topic. This is a flaw in your game. Cause see, once you do that, first and foremost, you already have a sporadic delivery with the way you do this shit. So it's already all over the place. One. Now, a lot of the things that need to be said to society today, a lot of it is would come off as outlandish to the people that need to hear it. Just saying it or make a motherfucker say, oh, this nigga crazy. Just like saying you a god or whatever. You say, I'm a god. You know, the average motherfucker be like, oh, this nigga, he losing his mind. So off the top, the shit that you saying and the shit that you're trying to convince people of or get people to understand is already something foreign or something that could get you deemed a loony off the top. That's why when you dealing with that type of information, you're gonna call yourself a quote unquote leader or speaker, or you feel like you have a spot on the world stage and you feel like you have the wherewithal to teach somebody something or try to show somebody something, you have to go out your way to avoid coming off as crazy. Now we all got a little crazy in us, some more than others. But you know when a motherfucker's a straight up raving lunatic too. Now we all got a little goofy inner craziness about ourselves. Anyone who said they wouldn't, I have to look at it with a little bit of suspicion. or anybody that says they doesn't, I'd have to look at in a suspicious light. So, but if you was a God, you'd have been like, nah, see, because you would understand. I'm already saying shit that people could try to say is crazy or ludicrous. So when you go put yourself on this mental paperwork and get involved in that, now it's documented that you dealing with some type of psychological issue or whatever. So now, the things you say that already may sound crazy, your detractors can raise up and say, yeah, that's bullshit. Look, he suffers from mental health problems anyway. Look, we used the paperwork. Or whatever. Now, motherfuckers gonna call you crazy anyway just off of your antics. So, a motherfucker holding up a piece of paper, it's not news to say that you are suspected for being mentally ill. But it still has a psychological effect. So you might be like, well, fuck this shit. People already seeing it anyway, so what's the paper's gonna do? Just that reinforcement alone has a psychological effect and a sway the way people view whatever it is you're trying to do. Especially the way you're doing it with all this trolling and shit. And this is coming from a nigga who been rolling with you through it all. Take it up for you. But it's not what you do sometimes, it's how you do it. And it's trolling shit is getting, or whatever you want to call it. However, the controversial approach to making a big deal about something, or whatever it is, to creating a buzz around your next shoe, or whatever the hell you got going on. So, you wouldn't have done that. Fine, now I can understand therapy or something. Because therapy, really therapy is just you talking to one of your homeboys or homegirls or your parents or something or whatever. And then you can take it to another point where you go talk to somebody that's deemed has a degree in psychology or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that. Even though with me, I feel like the therapy thing, eventually therapy should put you in a mental position where you don't need therapy no more. You can do for yourself what the therapist is doing. But they not gonna tell you, you have to catch on with your damn self when you talking and going to all these sessions or whatever. So therapy with, I would, if anything I consider would be therapy. As opposed to going and screaming this mental health shit and I'm bipolar and woo. And when you start admitting to that type of shit or saying that type of shit and not knowing how to explain yourself, because we all bipolar, we all have a masculine side and a feminine side, two opposite poles. You're supposed to center yourself at the middle, amalgamate the two there, and move through life as such or whatever. So, now schizophrenia, schizophrenia would be, but for lack of a better way of explaining it, I guess you say you have different forms of it because you have schizophrenia where people start to manifest or act through different act out since everything is all in us, or you have the spirit of those who don't walk the planet physically inside your DNA and your genetics and all that. you can have a personality disorder where you act out different personalities randomly. Now you might say, okay, that's crazy, but that's crazy right there. If you don't have control over that, you don't know how to see. When you know how to control the many different elements of what makes you who you are, then you can do that same thing, but not in a manner that's considered crazy. You want to know who does that? Actors, to a certain degree. An actor acts, and in each movie they take on a different personality. But Denzel know how to go home and be Denzel. So that's schizophrenia. Is when you don't. It's basically the lack of self-control on a mental level. So I mean, I'm saying this for a reason. So keep this in mind. So anyway, once you did that, I said, now that's crazy. That's crazy right there. Especially if you let them convince you to do it, because now, as we see years later, look at you and look at your family situation. Look at your family situation. Now, if it came down to a custody battle with them kids, they can take that paperwork and say, we're better, or Kim's better fit to hold these kids, or be the primary custodian or guardian over these kids, because he has a history of mental health issues. You see, they playing chess with you. So that was a big red flag right there. But I was still with you. So what bothers me about the Kanye West thing more than the White Lives Matter, because I'm not mad about him feeling like White Lives Matter, because they do. But if you're not going to explain it thoroughly, then shut the fuck up, man. Come on, man. And you're not explaining none of this shit thoroughly. See, to take it back to when you was talking about, oh, Jesus, I'm Jesus. And then you did the concert and you brought out the fake white Jesus thing with you. And you was square dancing with him on stage or whatever the fuck that was y'all was doing. Just walking in circles and shit. Now, when I saw that, I said, okay, where's he going with this? You know, what's happening here? Now, what we're trying to do is extinguish the imagery, that the pseudo imagery that was presented to us as a description of Christ. We're trying to get rid of that. But if you bring that image on the stage with you, only way I would have did that, if I would have brought that motherfucker on stage and said, you see this guy? This is the fake version of Christ. I'm the real image of Christ, the black and comely one. You know, I would have said some shit like that. You know, it would have been quite obvious that I was trying to tell motherfuckers that you've been presented with this. They've been telling you that Christ or Jesus looks like this the whole time, when really they've been lying to you. You didn't do that though. You got on stage and did Bring Around the Roses with him. As if to say, I don't know what the fuck you was trying to say. But you did. But so that was a red flag. I'm like, okay, well, you know, where is this guy going with this right here? Okay. Fast forward a little bit down the road. You threw your MAGA hat on and said slavery was a choice. Now the trollery of it all, it's all there. So I understood why people found themselves getting upset with you. You know, people think Trump is the racist motherfucker in the world. And you know he's associated with that hat. So when you put this hat on, and then come out and say slavery is a choice. Now, when you done it, I'm looking at you like, you know, he's up to something. I get it. You know, it's something behind this. Everybody else on your head, I'm like, nah. But I get why you trigger people with this shit. Okay. So put the MAGA hat on. Now, my honest opinion, the Trump administration, the government is bullshit anyway, but let's pretend. But I'll say this much. The Trump administration is the most honest administration I've seen since I've been alive. Every man might say some shit you don't like, but at least he's saying some shit that these other motherfuckers didn't tell you, and you know, hey, if it gotta come like the truth gotta come like that, fuck it. I mean, that's just what it is. So but I'd rather motherfucker do it that way. You know, now I'm not sitting here saying it as a Trump supporter. I'm saying it as a observer of this shit. So I said, okay, whatever, the MAGA hat. Then you said slavery was a choice, which you kind of echoed the sentiments of something I had said a little bit before you came out and said that shit. Which was when I broke down the role white people were put here to play, speaking from a galactic standpoint or a overall spiritual standpoint. You said slavery was a choice. So this right here coincides with the White Lives Matter thing. Now we're gonna stop right there and amalgamate that. Now, what I was saying was, in the grand scheme of things, of course, on the mundane level, just like y'all, slavery was fucked up. Fuck them crackers. They put us in a barn. They did this and they did that and blah, 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 blah. And when I say crackers, that's what I mean. I'm talking about, see, I don't intentionally just look at every all white. I try to distinguish this shit. So when I say cracker, I'm talking about a whip cracker or a slave maker of the poor, not just regular white person running around here. Okay, so on the mundane level, yeah. I even go as far as to tell you when it became an issue of whether or not to even create white folks, I even go and say in that lifetime, I was with the motherfuckers. See, this is why I say you gotta know how to center yourself and understand the grand scheme of everything. Even though now I could sit in the middle and say, white people fucked us up or whatever, and be right. But at the same time, I can understand the necessary evil of it all now. And sit in the middle, and now, even though I can tell you what one likes, I was probably one of the niggas who was like, fuck that, come on, mentality is so opposite than the worst of the white folks' mentality. That I wasn't on that side. But to take it further than that in the overall scheme of things, now I can sit here and tell you, okay, we understand why they were wrote into the script. And it was so that they could take us through that turmoil, and that same turmoil would build us back up, not only to the point we used to be before we broke down, but beyond that. But we have to take responsibility for the whole thing, despite how we may feel about our everyday dealings with what we go through. In the grand scheme of things, when you say you God, or you say you divine, or you say you this and that and the third, you ultimately have to take the whole goddamn responsibility, and know that makes it even more easy for you to deal with it while you're walking through your human struggle or whatever for life path. So ultimately, we can say we made the choice to make it like that, to go through that, so that we can. And we did go look at Sambo, the Black Gods of Asia, by Eugene Adams on YouTube or whatever. It's called on the wall. We predicted slavery and all that shit. We knew it was gonna happen because we knew we had to go through that so we can get to the other side and come out even greater. So when you said slavery was a choice, I said, well, maybe he's referring to what I was saying. But you broke it down into some whole other small mundane shit. Well, we didn't do nothing, so that implied it was a choice because we chose not to do nothing, so they kept enslaving us and all this old weirdism shit. Makes sense, you had a point, but why state the fucking obvious? Or say something that could be controversial and have people around here tripping just to, when you break it down to the smallest part of it, be stating the fucking obvious. So that ties back to, does white lives matter? Yeah. But mattering is just one half of the stick, or one part of it. How do they matter? In what manner do they matter? How much do they matter? You know what I'm saying? If we just, you know, speaking about who lives matter or whatever. So, you do this easy thing. Yeah, me pumped up. I'm right there with you. So yeah, I'm watching you. That happens, or whatever. Then you start the whole Sunday service thing, and I said, your verbiage is still of a hog-mouth eating Christian, because you still speak like, on one hand you said you was a God, but then now you're still speaking like, well, God is real and God is. Thought you were God, always God. Because if you was, you would know. If you was, you would know, or you wouldn't speak like that. Because we trying to get people out of this thing. You better off looking for God right around you than some imaginary shit in the sky or whatever. And I can break that down, but that's not the topic at hand right now. So, do this thing. So I'm like, you know, I'm like, okay, man, this shit looks churchy. You know, I'm more than a conqueror. I'd rather Kirk Franklin. I'm gonna do some church shit. See, give me some Mary. At least they told you the God isn't you. You know, it's Mary, yeah, Mary, yeah. At least Mary told you shit. Here you go jumping around Sunday service. I said, if this is not a goddamn, this looks like he's trying to usher people back into the church halls. So I'm looking at this, I'm like, all right, yeah, man, you going all, getting all gospel-y on me. I'm not the biggest gospel fan. I'm watching, you know. Now stop right there. Let's talk about this fashion shit. Let me see how much time we got first. Yeah. All right. Now let's talk about this fashion shit. Now I get it. So go back to the Zane Low. Go back to Zane Lowe. I get what you were saying. I understand completely what you were saying about the fashion thing. And everything you were saying, I commend you for that goddamn interview. Yeah, I get it. You want to make clothes with the finest of fabrics, the finest flax, and be able to sell and be a nigga selling clothes that are made of something that's considered a little bit more sophisticated than cotton or polyester or whatever. You want the silks, and you want to be you want black faces to be able to be, black names to be designer as well, so many words. And I get that. Yeah, I understand. You feel like you're trying to kick down doors and scratch your way through. Sometimes things have to be infiltrated like that. But if you sit here kicking up dust, all this dust, for one, it makes us look crazy. Let me show you something. Just like when you sitting there, okay, yeah, this is another thing too. See, you looking like the Motisa tribe, like you're a Motisa tribesman. I know y'all may say, what is a Motisa tribe? I seen you in the back seat of a video of you in the back seat of a limo. You, Kim, and I guess some white designers or whatever the fuck, I don't know what they were, just some white guys. One of them was eating. And it looked like he was holding the motherfucker's cup for him while he was eating. And you looking in the camera and you holding the cup. And I'm gonna be honest with you, this is back in about 2014 or some shit like that. So this is not coming from a Kanye hater. Mind you, this is somebody who rocks with you. But the first impression when I don't know what was going on. But the first impression I got when I seen the fucking video, man, was, I know this nigga is not sitting here holding this goddamn, you in a limo with rich people, I'm supposing. They gotta have cup holders or something in that motherfucker. Or something. And you didn't look like the most comfortable nigga doing this shit. I see you holding this cup while this goddamn white guy's eating, and Kim just sitting on your side, and it just came off as help. You look like a servant holding a teacup for a fucking white boy. So I'm like, that's how it came off. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? I'm looking at this shit and I'm like, whatever. Motisa. Hey man, I can't make this shit up. I gotta do it to you, but I hate to do it to you, but I have to. Because really I don't even like talking about niggas no more. So this is kind of crazy as it may sound. I felt if I didn't have love for you, I probably wouldn't even, I guess, if I didn't have love for you, I probably wouldn't even be doing it. There's a plethora of niggas I could get right in front of this camera and rightfully so, put the hammer on. And I don't even like being entangled with these niggas like that. That's another story though. But I just feel like by going on this Yeezy ride with you, and then coming to this point, it's like riding with a motherfucker, and you're like, a nigga call you and it's like, hey man, I'm finna go to this new little spot I just found, man, I want you to come check it out with me. And you come pick me up, and we ride, and 2 hours pass. I don't know where the spot is, so I don't know which way we're supposed to be going. But eventually I look up and I say, hey man, where the fuck are we going? Because you've been going in circles for the last hour or whatever. Houston, a big city, it ain't that goddamn big. So I'm like, where the fuck are you going with this, man? So, yeah. But back to the mental health thing, I want to touch on that. That's war. See, you talking about war. You know, this is war. War is when. No, war is when a motherfucker get you on mental health paperwork and has that on tuck. So as soon as it get funky in our war against each other, or y'all war, or whatever the fuck it is coming to, it ain't looking good. Motherfucker pull out a piece of paper and say that, and you gotta stoop, see, it wouldn't work with me, because I don't know for how crazy, a crazy motherfucker can be crazy all he want, but when that motherfucker say some shit that's real, I'm not looking at him like, they don't make, that's bullshit, he crazy. Yeah, he's a crazy motherfucker, but that shit he said right there made sense. So, that's war. Tell a lot about a man sometimes, about a woman he picks to be the person he spends the rest of his life with. I'll just say that for now. Not saying, everybody can make mistakes, and we all are picking through the apples just like everybody else. So I'm not saying just because your mate fucked up, you fucked up on us, but to a high degree than or to one degree or another, it says a lot about you. So I'm looking at this motherfucker like, man, what are you doing, bro? Like you ushering niggas back into you slowly ushering niggas back into this. I don't even like when I'm watching the movie and they get to playing that slave music in the background. I don't even like that shit, which is the pretty much the origins of gospel music, really. It's like almost like come from slave inspirational music or some shit. Anyway, so I'm looking at this shit and I'm like, man, what is this guy doing? So we get here, before we go there, before we get here, let's go to some recent shit. Now, when that shit happened with you, when Kim first started rocking with the Pete guy, I said, I didn't like the way that went down. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't like the way she handled you like that. You know what I'm saying? I can only imagine having a daughter and splitting up with my baby mama and her new guy. Right, as soon as we break up, she with a new dude, and this dude is a little too cozy with my goddamn daughters or whatever. I understand. You eventually would have to, if she stayed with the person, you eventually have to know that that's type, you would want your wife to be with, or your ex to be with somebody who can establish a bond, not as tight as you and your kids, because you're the actual father, but at least have them, at least deal with her the way that he would deal with his own daughter or whatever. So, but the first month in, I'll stop fucking with you today, and then 2 weeks later, you got a goddamn my daughter over there on some nigga lap that you just been fucking with for a month or two or whatever. I would probably have a problem with that too. If that's the case, that's all the information I remember. But just the way that whole thing went, I had a problem because I got love for you. So I'm looking at this shit, I don't like this. I'm not digging this here, man. She doing it. She fucking over him and she trolling him, whatever. Whoop the whoop the whoop. You know. And I wanted to say something, but I said, you know what? That's kind of personal. You know. And sometimes I will speak on shit that may be considered personal. Sometimes some shit just gotta be said. I try to sometimes, you know, I like, you know what? I'm gonna leave that alone. I done learned about these goddamn celebrities. Not all of them, you know. They don't apply, let it fly, but that's how, you know, I'm gonna fall back on this one. Plus, that's some personal shit, you know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at it. So now I'm a cool lot. But I wanted to say something. Everybody else saying shit. I wanted to say something too, just like the rest of the good old people in the U.S. of A. But so now I'm gonna chill out. Just let the shit play out. And a little bit after I said that to myself, somebody said something or something in regards to the situation. And I remember you tweeting, "Don't speak on my wife, man," and blah, blah, blah. I said, see? That's why I didn't say nothing. That's why I didn't say nothing. Now, fast forward to today, or last week, you said, why wouldn't nobody, or something along these lines, why didn't nobody say nothing when Kim was trying to kidnap my kids? And that, my dear friend, is the reason why I'm not going spasmodic on it. Because it goes back to what I just said. Schizophrenia. Now you're saying nobody said nothing about the whole thing with you and Kim. But a couple months ago, you was like, don't speak on my wife. See, that's how you know people don't be shit. Hell, they probably was right trying to put shit. Kim them probably was right referring your ass to a goddamn psychological evaluation or whatever the fuck. Well, that's what it was too. They had you in that hospital and shit. Yeah, all that old shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, all that shit wasn't a good look for you, buddy. You have to understand. See, you talking this shit about being a leader or whatever. You a leader. Well, if you feel like that, one thing you should know is that your image in front of the eyes of the people who you're supposed to be quote unquote leading, you have to know how to protect that and know what's a good look, because you can't be a leader and you out here sporadically looking crazy. I understand the concept of chaos, but you don't have no order to this shit. You don't know how to bring order to what the fuck you doing. You just like a goddamn rebel without a cause. So that right there is a sign of bipolarism or schizophrenia. Because you said that then, and then now you're complaining about nobody. Because see, if you really felt that way, you wouldn't have said what you said now. If I felt like I didn't want nobody speaking on a subject, I would still feel like that today probably. Or at least remember enough to where I wouldn't say some shit like, why didn't nobody speak on it when the shit happened? I didn't want nobody. I remember not wanting nobody to speak on it. So I'm not going to 4 months later say, why didn't nobody say nothing? I didn't want nobody to say nothing. So why the fuck would I come out and say, why didn't nobody say nothing? This is, come on, man. You gotta shake up the ship out, man. Where we going with this now? And that's why I ain't going spasmodic on you. Whatever's going on with you, man, you need to get around. So you're not the people that you are around, or whoever you are around, or you call friends or whatever, they're not telling you the shit you need to hear. You see what I'm saying? So y'all did that song. Beyonce got the song Big Ego. It is true. You niggas got big ego. But that fucks you up. The same shit you use to make you great fucks up your judgment. But that comes a lot with celebrity, I see, stardom and all this shit. That shit inflates your ego. It inflates your ego. So you could be on the right path, or you could be meaning well. And I don't think you're a fucked up nigga, really. Despite all the shit I'm saying about you saying right now, I don't think that you are a fucked up nigga deep down inside. That's why I ain't just smashing the gas on you, but I'm pulling your coattail right now. You went on Drink Champs and you start name dropping, which ties back to what I was saying about the whole designers and shit. You know, after a minute, pushing for equality within the fashion world, or because I get what you're trying to do, we're trying to bust that dough down or whatever. It eventually goes from busting the dough down, or looking like you're trying to bust the dough down, or looking like you begging for a motherfucker to open the door. Do your thing, do your thing. One way don't work, all right, fuck y'all. You'll see me. And walk off from the shit. But it'll look crazy as fuck for somebody to call this. If this the leader, you supposed to be a leader, you look crazy as fuck begging it. It started like you begging these people for acceptance. That's why I started to come off. And I'm telling you this from a person that went, at first they was looking at it like, I understand where you coming from. Trying to kick that door down and open it up for niggas. I understand that. And it went from me looking at it like that to now looking at it like, well, maybe this nigga just, this shit is starting to look like you begging for acceptance. And I say that paired with when you went on the Drink Champ shit and the way you was name dropping these, I guess, rich white people. Well, I don't keep up with these people. I gotta leave it to y'all. Oh, Jeff Bezos and all these people. These motherfuckers crawling out of the slums out of nowhere. 10 years ago, you didn't know who Jeff Bezos was. Now, oh, I'm on a boat with Jeff Bezos and look at me. I'm partying with whoever the fuck, you know, and all this shit. And y'all think that's a goddamn flex or whatever. I'm hanging with, what's the other motherfucker name? I don't even know, but y'all think that shit is cool. You post a picture chilling with Jeff Bezos. Look at him, chilling with Jeff Bezos. Like, we don't give a fuck. We don't know these people. We don't know where the fuck they got their money from. So why the fuck I'm supposed to be thinking if anything, you was God, him chilling with you would be the goddamn flex for him. And then you go on Drink Champs and you name dropping these people, and I can tell it's coming from a place where you think that's a flex, or you think that makes you, yeah, because see, I was with Roberto Flaco and we was talking about how to make velvet collars, and then I went to Franchise Malone's house and you talking all this shit like as if this is making you somebody, and it's like, it looks ridiculous. It looks ridiculous, man. You know, I'm not, and there's one thing to speak and be like, well, yeah, you know, I was doing business with such and such, and I was over here with Donatello, and we was talking about this and that. It's one thing to just, you know, when you trying to explain your mood and what's been going on with you. But you're doing that, and you're doing it from a place where you still, it looks like you're still fascinated with these people. Terrible look, man. Terrible look. So, come back. Check out how much time we got. So when we go to take it back to the White Lives Matter thing. Try to do this, make this a 2 and done. So I'll start off where I'm gonna pick up and really go deeper into in the next video. But I'm probably got some more Kanye points to touch on as well. But let me get back to the meat of this. Now let's go back to the Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter thing. Black Lives Matter, you just now figuring out that Black Lives Matter is a scam. You was God, you would have been to that from the top. Soon as it popped off, I already knew this is some bullshit. This is the way for them to control how we respond to atrocities perpetrated against black people. Cops killing black kids in the street in particular. That's what that was birthed out of, correct? So, now, of course, Black Lives Matter, point blank period. Don't necessarily have to put a t-shirt on and parade around and say that. But if you choose to, that's your business. But put it like this. If this is a football stadium, you got fans on this side of the stadium, fans on this side of the stadium. All them motherfuckers need is for two goddamn rival factions or competing factions to come in the middle of that field. And it's gonna be motherfuckers on this side who pick sides, motherfuckers who pick sides on this side. And now all the energy riled up from those people rooting for those two teams gets harnessed. Same thing with whether it be sports. Now don't get me wrong, this is not saying, I'm not telling you gotta stop going to football games or you can't go to a concert because concerts too, all this shit. These people harness that energy, especially with the sports, because when you fucking with the sports, those logos and those these logos they're actually dealing with what we used to call totemism, African totemism, symbolism. These logos, they have meanings behind them, and they're based off of mythology and shit. But they harness that energy. Church, that's one of the worst. You bet off in a goddamn stadium than a church. But the people harness that energy in some form of fashion. How they do it, the details of it all, don't ask me. They're on 18th Street in a building with a bowl and they spinning around and pulling it in and all, but they feed off of that energy. So, but all them two crowds need somebody to root for. See, that's the same thing that happened with Black Lives Matter and all this shit. Okay, we got these people upset about what's going on, rightfully so. Let's give them a name and a team to be a part of, call it Black Lives Matter. And we'll be able to control Black Lives Matter. You have the Black Lives Matter organization, and then you have people that buy into the people that's directly down with the Black Lives Matter, the head of it or whatever. And then you just have regular people. Same thing with LGBTQT. LGBT community, it's an organization, like a mafia, just like any other group or whatever. And you have them who claim that they represent the gay people, and then you have gay people who buy into the LGBTQT or whatever. But they're just regular gay people. They're not in the meetings and head shit or whatever. Same thing with Black Lives Matter. So you got Black Lives Matter. The name of the game is to get you involved to one degree or another. So getting you out there to rally up and hold signs, whether you going against, whether you with cops killing kids or against it, they don't give a fuck. As long as you out there being a part of the distraction or being part of what they want you to focus your attention on, as opposed to something, as opposed to you focusing your attention on some shit they don't want you to have your attention on. So they give you that, they give you something to rally behind, something you feel like you can stand up about and jump up and down about it, whatever. Same people gave you Black Lives Matter. So say, okay, well, we got the Black Lives Matter in place. Now, the phrase Black Lives Matter came from what? It came from a necessity or feeling a necessity to let these people know, hey, stop killing black people in the streets because Black Lives Matter. That's what made people start saying Black Lives Matter. White folks was not out here getting slaughtered by cops in the middle of the goddamn street. Therefore, they didn't have no reason to stand up and say White Lives Matter. And we're doing the pretend thing, right? Because this is all, I ain't gonna say pretend, but this is, you know, follow. But, so, there was no need for people to say White Lives Matter. Because it was nothing on a grand scale implying that they don't. The killing of these black kids, dudes or whatever, the police brutality inflicted upon black people was what, even though it was fake in its design too, that's why I say pretend, but the Black Lives Matter was a reply or a response to what seemed to be an implied notion that black lives didn't matter. So that's one point or difference between when black people say Black Lives Matter and white people say White Lives Matter, or whoever say White Lives Matter. That's the difference right there. Even though it's all stemmed from some bullshit, because Black Lives Matter wasn't your friend when they started that shit. And it take a nigga 10 years to come out and say Black Lives Matter was a scam. Really? You just not all the, when you start seeing shit, that government type shit or organizations, and they getting this press and all this old shit, it's some compromised shit. So, but if you was a leader, you would have knew that a long time ago. You would have said that a long time ago, because it's not really in the news. But this is part one. I'll close it out on the next one. But so until then, you niggas be breezy.